why we say بأي وجه كان بالرضا أو بالغلبة. That is, they have affirmed his leadership whether with pleasure or بالغلبة, or by his overpowering them. They were pleased that yes, inshallah is our Amir. They are happy. Like Hassan al-Basri said regarding the Khilafah of Uthman bin Affan, that the best of us has appeared and has assumed the leadership over us. So the companions and all of them were happy. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal was reported to have said that the people had not been pleased and agreed over the leadership of anyone in the Ummah like they were pleased and agreed upon the leadership of Uthman bin Affan. Imam Ahmad had said that, alayhi rahmatullah. So imma berida, whether they are pleased with that leadership, or bil ghalaba, or they are not pleased. He just came, kill everybody, kill as much as he could kill, and he assumed leadership. Any person who attempts to confront me, I will kill him. And people say, oh, we are not confronting you again, you are the Amir. You say, I'm what? Amir. So that is bil ghalaba. He comes and becomes victorious over the people. He harasses them, he fights them, and becomes the leader over them. He says anyone who comes out in rebellion against this kind of a leader, whether people accepted him in peace or they accepted him after a war and he became victorious over them, anyone who does this in rebellion, فَقَدْ شَقَّ هَذَا الْخَارِجُ عَصَى الْمُسْلِمِينَ. That person who has rebelled, that person who has rebelled has renounced the allegiances of the Muslims. Shaqqal asa. That is, if you want to translate it lexically, you say he broke the stick, the staff of the Muslims. The Muslims have a staff. So he came in rebellion, he broke that staff of the Muslims. The one who rebels against that kind of a leader has broken the staff. But what it actually means is that the staff is the staff of authority, the staff of allegiance. They had gone in allegiance. We agree, took an oath of allegiance that yes, you will obey you. So he has broken that oath of allegiance. فَقَدْ شَقَّ هَذَا الْخَارِجُ عَصَى الْمُسْلِمِينَ. That person who has rebelled has broken and renounced the allegiance of the Muslims. وَخَالَفَ الْآثَارَ. And then he has acted against the narrations and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that has been reported from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. He said alayhi rahmatullah, فَإِن مَاتَ الْخَارِجُ عَلَيْهِ. If the person who has rebelled dies, that rebel, if he dies, mata mitatan jahiliyatan, he has died in the manner people used to die in the days of Jahiliyyah. We'll still explain each of these points inshallah. So in whole, he said again alayhi rahmatullah, وَمَنْ خَرَجَ عَلَى إِمَامٍ مِّنْ أَئِمَّةِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Anyone who rebels against any of the leaders of the Muslims, وَقَدْ كَانَ النَّاسُ اجْتَمَعُوا عَلَيْهِ, such that the people had already gathered around him, وَأَقَرُّوا لَهُ بِالْخِلَافَةِ, and they had affirmed and confirmed his being the leader of the Muslims, بِأَيِّ وَجْهٍ كَانَ, in any form that his leadership came, بِالرِّضَى أَوْ بِالْغَلَبَةِ, كَانَ بِالرِّضَى أَوْ بِالْغَلَبَةِ, whether it came by their being pleased with his being their leader, or it came in the sense that he forced himself over them. But anyone comes out in rebellion against this Amir, that kind of a person, he says فَقَدْ شَقَّ هَذَا الْخَارِجُ عَصَى الْمُسْلِمِينَ. That rebel has broken the allegiance of the Muslims. وَخَالَفَ الْآثَارَ عَنْ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. And he has acted in contradiction to the narrations that has been reported from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. فَإِن مَاتَ, if this kind of a person dies, al-khariju alayhi, that is the one who rebels against the leader, mata mitatan jahiliyatan, he has died in the way the people used to die in the days of Jahiliyyah. Why? Because in the days of Jahiliyyah people were divided. there were no single leader amongst them. People could start fighting wars because an animal grazed in the other person's farmland. So one tribe starts fighting the other tribe in a war, and blood is spilled on the ground. There were wars that lasted over 500, 600 years amongst people in Medina, between the Aus and the Khazraj in Medina, before the Prophet came. And that was what he was telling them about, subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the Quran. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا. So Allah was telling the Aus and the Khazraj, because as is reported in Hadith, and the Hadith is authentic, that one day some of the Jews and the Munafiqun came together and started to incite some of the Aus and the Khazraj against themselves. That you are now sitting behind someone who is from Aus. The both tribes are from Medina. So you are now sitting behind him because you say you are Muslims. You forgot that he killed your great grandfather, inciting the hatred that had been carried along from the days of Jahiliyyah. So the other one will go to the other one. Look at this one. You are praying with him. You are walking together behind the Prophet ﷺ with him. You remember that he killed the father, the wife of your so and so during the, like that. They started to incite, and the two parties were set to fight themselves. It was reported that it was in this circumstance Allah revealed this verse. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu taqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun wa'tasimu bihablillahi jami'an wa la tafarraqu wazkuru ni'matallahi alaykum idh kuntum a'da'an fa'alafa bayna qulubikum fa asbahtum bi ni'matihi ikhwanan, and then on. Allah called them and say, oh those who believe, ittaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi, fear Allah in the right manner that Allah should be feared, and do not die wala tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun, do not die except that you are Muslims. Wa'tasimu bihablillahi jami'an wa la tafarraqu, hold on firmly to the rope of Allah together. Don't say this one is Aus, this one is Khazraj, this one is from another tribe, this one is from Quraysh, that one is from that. Hold it on together and be not divided. Wazkuru ni'matallahi alaykum, remember the favor of Allah upon you. What was the favor? Idh kuntum a'da'an, you were enemies of yourselves. Fa'allafa bayna qulubikum, so Allah brought your hearts together. This will make us understand that 1 million Muslim union will not unite Muslims if the Muslims are not united upon the book of Allah and the sunnah of his messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. 1 million association of Muslim unity will not unite the Muslims. What you will unite the Muslims is acting upon the kitab and the sunnah. So when we act upon the kitab and the sunnah, from the reward of acting upon kitab and sunnah is that Allah will put into our hearts love for ourselves. Look at praying in salah. He says, La tusawwunna alayhi salatu wassalam, La tusawwunna sufufakum aw la yukhallifanna Allahu bayna wujuhikum. He said, you better straighten your rows. You better do it, or Allah cause you to hate yourselves. Look at. So, but when you straighten the rows, you make the rows straight, covering all spaces, making the hips, the heels to touch themselves, and the parts of the body to touch themselves in close ranks, then Allah will make your hearts to become together. So to avoid that the ranks of the Muslims are broken, their rows have to be kept. So to avoid, that is to make sure that the ranks of the Muslims are together now, they have to act upon kitab and sunnah. So he says, wa'tasimu bihablillahi jami'an wa la tafarraqu wazkuru ni'matallahi alaykum idh kuntum a'da'an fa'allafa. So it was Allah who brought their hearts together to love themselves. So fa'asbahtum bi ni'matihi ikhwana. So by the fact that he is now pleased with you, you became by his mercy ikhwana, brothers, when you had fought yourselves in the days of Jahiliyyah. So this was how Arabs were before Islam came. But when Islam came and Allah made the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to assume leadership amongst them, that's tafriq or a tafriqa that existed amongst them. Allah used the leadership of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to extinguish that. So the first thing that happened was that they came to him when he was in Mecca. We know the treaties of Al-Aqaba, He came in the first year, and then they came in another year prior to the movement of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to Medina. So that was why the death of the one who dies in rebelling against the leader is described with Jahiliyyah, because at that time they were dying rebelling against one another and killing one another without any persons being patient with the other, without anybody saying, no, I'm the leader. The one who kills someone should also be killed alone. And that's why last week we were discussing that from the duties of the Amir is iqamatul hudud, establishing the legal punishment. So if someone kills somebody now, you are not to kill the person back in revenge. It is the Amir who will kill the person back in revenge. As a legal punishment. Because if you kill the person in revenge, the other person kills you again, the other person kills the other one again, the thing goes on like that. Blood begins to flow in succession. But if it is the people in authority who arrests and take the life of the person who kills someone, do we understand? Then it stops at the fact that the legal punishment is established, and that's all. The killing does not become something that continues and succeeds itself one after the other. So this is why following and obeying the Amir is important. So the one who comes out against the Amir say, no, we are not going to accept, he is going to have to cause the deaths of a lot of people, because the one in authority will not take that easy. So then life begins to be taken just like that, the way lives were taken just like that in the days of Jahiliyyah. So that is why the death of such a rebel is likened to the way people die in the days of Jahiliyyah. Because in the days of Jahiliyyah, everybody just can kill anybody you like, go. Kill anybody you like, go. And then the other one say, no, the other family say, no, he killed somebody from our family, we will kill their own family too. They killed it. The other one say, no, they kill us in river, they kill. And then people begin to die without restriction. So that is why the death of a rebel is likened to the death in the days of Jahiliyyah. So this point, we go back to it again. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal alayhi rahmatullah said, وَمَنْ خَرَجَ عَلَى إِمَامٍ مِّنْ أَئِمَّةِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, anyone who goes out in rebellion against any one of the imams of the Muslims, وَقَدْ كَانَ النَّاسُ اجْتَمَعُوا عَلَيْهِ وَأَقَرُّوا لَهُ بِالْخِلَافَةِ, when the people had agreed, they had gathered around him and they had accepted that he is the leader. So we had said earlier, there are two ways the Sharia recognizes that someone can become a leader. We remember those two ways. Imma bil istikhlaf, that someone is appointed by the dying Amir that become the leader, the way Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu appointed Umar ibn al-Khattab. We cited the evidences, the hadith in Bukhari and Muslim and other books of hadith. So that is one way of establishing leadership. The other way is with shura. The people gather and then appoint, the eminent people gather and then appoint a leader. The way Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was appointed, and the way Uthman ibn Affan and Ali ibn Abi Talib and others were also appointed in the history of Islam. These are the two ways the Sharia recognizes legally the means now to leadership. These are the two